Okay, so what I'm going to do today is, when I was putting the headstock and everything on, I did notice it was a bit iffy. And what I actually found when I looked at the microfiche, there was a rubber washer missing from there and a special anti-rotation washer thingy. So we have a rubber washer and the springy thing. 27, is it? 27. And to take these off, these ones here actually, do them. And that one there. This one. On the side here. This should come off. Okay, so I did have that. And I did have that one on there, but it's a bit squished. There's only £4 for them too anyway, so it's no big deal. Looks all here and there, nice and smooth. So new washer. New clip washer. Cool. Seems okay. Now to put this back on. we can put that back on. There we go. That is all nicely replaced. Job is done. Okay, so I'm just going to rebuild the front brake calipers today. So they've been painted. We have some new banjo bolts, new copper washers, bleed nipples, and I have some bleed nipple bolts as well. I'll go get the bleed nipple bolts. So we've got little rubber boots as well for the bleed nipples. So we'll stick that on there. Stick that in there. What I might do actually is put a tiny little piece of anti-seize compound on there. Okay, that's that. Bish bash bosh. Now we need to put in the brake components, front brake component bits. As I've said, for the back brakes, I'm going to replace these pads at a later date, just so I can get everything on the bike, and it's easy to change the pads on the bike, but I can't bleed the brakes without pads in there. So we've got little sliding pins. The back plates, bit of copper grease there. One pad. Zoom in. Inside. Two pads. So that's that calipers in there. Turn them together like that. Drop the pads in. Do the same what I did on the other side. Just get a little bit of PTFE silicone spray, which is a dry lube. And wipe it over the slide pins. Okay, that's that side in. Put the spring in this time before we put the second pad in. Pad pin in. Try it with these. There we go, just get our finger in there. Bit of finagling, there we go. They're in there nicely. Now I just need to rotate these. And put the new pins in. Right, as you can see, I've got a bunch of these. I stole these from my Tamiya F103 Formula 1 car that I race occasionally. Let's see if I can get these in easily enough. Really need to de-rust these pliers. There we go, that's one. See if I can do it with my fingers, might be easier. Or not. There you go. We're in. So that's that bit. And yeah, there we go. Here is one pad. One caliper done. Couple of new copper washers. So that one is now ready to be put on the bike and have the hoses attached. Okay, so we're going to put the front brake together so we can get the calipers on and bled. So we've got various parts of it here, screws, nuts, the bolts, the clutch and the brake. I'm going to start off by putting a little bit of muddy grease on this spacer, just so that it doesn't get stuck in there in the future. This just then sits in here. Like so. It's in there like that. It fits in there. But first, get this in here. Just there. A little spring goes. So just here. Just in there. You see it. There's a little spring hole. And there's the spring. Yeah, I believe it was. bolt for the front. Let's give it a bit of a clean. Okay, so we've got a little bit of grease on there. Make sure that's and now like that. Okay, so we've got a nice new nut there with a flange on the bottom of it, so it does the job of the washer and nut together. So just screw that on there. Being Chinese is obviously not perfect. Then we have this weird thing which apparently is an anti-splash bit, which you don't want to bend. It just sits in there apparently. That way, to be fair, probably don't even need it. It's just literally a splash. There we go. Splash plate. So it stops you getting it in the face, I suppose, when you're bleeding the brakes. And these basically just pop into there since I've not got any mirrors. So that's pretty much done. That basically just goes in. And then that goes like that, and 2 screws in there. I've got some new stainless screws for that. But seeing as it's got to be fitted to the bike, then we're not going to put that on yet because we need to put this to the bike. Put the braided hoses to it, which I have here. Put them on, and then put fluid in, and then bleed them. And we'll do that shortly. Okay, so we have the handlebar. It's got the throttle grip on there, just for basically positioning. This goes on like that. So we're going about there. I've also had to move this bar back slightly because last time I put it on I had my finger on there, but I didn't have this in there, so it's hitting. Okay, so that fits there. Okay, so this is my XJ600 diversion stop start button. Slide that over. I think we're going to have just about enough space for it all. Okay, so here's the XJ600 throttle housing, which I've just given a couple of coats of paint. Fits on there like that. Yep. That fits. That fits alright. Probably need a couple of millimeters more over that direction. But otherwise, yeah, I'm happy with that. So now we'll mount the braided hoses and the front calipers. We're looking at fitting the front braided hoses today, which I have here. Where's my braided hoses? This is the 2-piece front set rather than the 3-piece. So for them to fit, we need a double-sized banjo bolt, and yeah, so we've got one of those. Double-sized banjo bolt. So we've got one on there. Now these cable or hoses, one is longer than the other. So the longer one is going to go on the inside, because it has to go to the left-hand caliper. So that's the front one. Extra banjo bolt there, extra copper washer. Banjo bolt there, and then copper washer. Well, there you go. So you can see that's in there, like so. Now I just need to screw that in. Again, that's hand tight for the moment. Rotate it around, make sure it doesn't hit anything. Yep, all good. So now basically we've got to get the hoses and put the calipers on and then line them up, feed them through. Okay, so I'm going to mount the caliper now. So I have the caliper here, ready to mount. The new banjo bolt in it, so slide that over like that. One bolt, 2 bolts. Screw it in. Okay, it's all snug. Again, these will be torqued up later. Okay, front one. Hose goes through there. There will be a thing that goes through here. Banjo bolt, then the washer through that banjo, whatever it is, through there. Okay, that's snugged. And that then basically fits there with that. Goes around this, which then goes up to that. And something like that. So now we just need to do the other side. Okay, so now we need to bring this hose through the back through the behind the forks, I believe is going to go. It's going to go actually in front of that fork and behind that fork. That looks about right. Okay. And then we get the other caliper and fit it on. As you can see here, I've got a nice new bottle of .4 brake fluid. Pour the fluid in. And without even realising it, I did the thing you shouldn't do to brake fluid, I shook it. So we have bubbles in there. You see there's a few bubbles coming out now where we're pumping and getting fluid in the system. Obviously we're not going to be bleeding it like this, this is just to get the master cylinder primed. So, the bleed, release the bleed nipple, squish the lever, tighten up the bleed nipple. Going to make sure that the bleed nipple on the other side is done up as well. Okay, a few pumps. Loosen bleed nipple, squeeze, tighten that up. A few squeezes. Release the bleed nipple, squeeze, tighten up, got the squeezes, release the bleed nipple, squeeze, tighten up, bleed nipple, squeeze, tighten up, squeezes, bleed nipple, squeeze, tighten up.
Three days later.
Okay, so now we've got the old brake master cylinder out. It's literally what's left of it, because I tried clearing up the piston, because I got the all balls kit from MMP, and unfortunately it doesn't come with the piston, and it also doesn't come with this washer and the springy type washer. However, when I was clearing it up, that washer and the springy type washer decided to fly off. So yeah, that was never to be seen again. So I needed a couple of parts. I ended up finding that washer, but I didn't find the other washer. So what I'm going to do is get this off so we can measure the seals up. See if I can find, there we are, there, like that. So we've got the piston, top ring, washer, circlip. Here we have here an MTX kit I got from AW Motorcycles, and that comes with the piston, the springy washer and the other washer. So now we can open this up, get the old stuff out of the way, gently stick the new stuff in there. So we have a new piston, new spring, new bottom seal, no, new top seal, new bottom seal, because it's got a smaller hole. Get in the shot. So new top seal, new bottom seal, because it's got a smaller hole, because it doesn't have to stretch over there. New washer, new springy washer, new circlip. So let's double check. Yep, that fits over there, nice and tight. That one stays loose because that doesn't go over there. Falls off, whereas that one sticks on there nicely. And on the MP one as well, the all balls bearing, both seals look identical, look like they've got the same size hole, everything. So this one is being returned back to MMP for a refund. So we're going to rebuild this one. So first things first, I need to put the larger seal on. Also, the larger seal doesn't have any little nodules on it, whereas this one does. There we go. Stretch it over there, there we go. So that would work if it was slightly bigger. Push that down, I can get that bit of greasy there. Boom. That seal is in. nicely there. No damage. Bish bash bosh. Then we have this washer. Slides over there. This washer. Get that a bit more in fluid. Slides over like that. And this spring type washer fits over there. Like so. And then this spring, maybe it's this way round. And that sits in there like that. Yeah, it looks a bit more like it. So that sits on there like that. That slides in there like that. So that is now ready to go back into our master cylinder. Grab it now. Okay. So spring. Pistons in. It was, so I'm just going to have to take these off. That's where you got to get creative. Niggle it in. Half fits in. Now in place. Let's just do a quick test. That is spatting out. Lovely. So now we know that's making a good seal. We can put that back on the bike, knowing that's been resolved, and hopefully we can bleed our brakes now. So what's left to do is get the boot, push that in there, down. That's in there nicely. Bish bash bosh. Job done. Okay, so we've now got a new master cylinder rebuild kit in there. So it's got a new piston, new diaphragms and that. So now we can put our brake lines back on. Do. Okay. So that's nipped up. That's sort of level. So what I'm going to try to do to make things a bit easier to start off with is to try to reverse bleed. So I've got a syringe with a tube on it. I'm going to basically try pumping oil in from the bottom upwards and see if that works. Okay, so undo the bleed nipple. Push this over. Okay, so we've pushed the rubber over and squeeze. It should force fluid up the top there. Ooh, there we go. Squirts it out. Squeeze. Okay, so now close the bleed nipple up. Remove that wire. Okay, that's one piston done.